Another crypto blockchain hack. This time, almost $600 million worth of assets taken from the blockchain. But I'm going to show you why that should not stop you from getting into crypto. And I'm going to show you how things happen in your everyday banks on a consistent basis that doesn't bother you or you never even think to hear of, and you still keep it moving. So let's get right into exactly what has happened first, okay? So Binance, this is the world's largest crypto exchange. Yeah, we'll have to check into that actually in terms of that versus Coinbase now. But it's, if not the biggest, one of the biggest. And it was hit with a hack today. And that was hit with 570 million. Okay, 570 million. So almost $600 million was stolen from here. And the article goes on to say that the issue here is that this is where the weakness lies in decentralized finance, or DeFi, which is where transactions are controlled by code. All right, so this is the New York Times that'll be talking about decentralization. So that's already not a good fit. But hey, look, a hack is a hack. It happened, and that's fine. And, you know, even Binance the CEO has gone on to say that, hey, look, software code is never bug free. Things happen. There are weaknesses in the code, and then it can get exposed. And then what happens because it's decentralized is the fact that you can't shut the code down. You can't shut the entire chain down fast enough. And so the hack continues to pull more money from the chain. And so they were able to coordinate with what's called validators, pretty much people who are responsible for running the chain. And if you can coordinate with them, then they can shut the chain down. And so that's exactly what happened. Now, we're not going to get into pros and cons of are you able to shut a chain down or not. I'm not going to get into that, okay? But they were able to do that. And this was the second largest hack in the crypto space. It was a $600 million one that happened on for Axie Infinity. And then there was even a $300 million one that happened in something called a wormhole network. Okay, so there are obviously, you know, weak points and places where you can expose a chain and things can happen. But here's what I want to show, okay? And this is not sugarcoating what happened to Binance. It's terrible. Hopefully things that happen after the math, they're able to recoup some of that or all of the assets. And here's the beauty part of blockchain is that you know where that goes into what wallets it goes to. You don't know who they belong to, but you can monitor the wallets. You can see the outflow and inflow of certain money, and then you can kind of track it based on that. And what now the chain is deciding to do is the community gets to decide is what happens in terms of reaction to those funds. Are they frozen out? What governance is going to happen going forward? The community kind of dictates that. So that's also debatable, good or bad, depending on how you look at it. But here's what I want to show you guys. I want to show you guys banks, okay? So we're talking about code here being an issue. Well, let's go to, you know, as centralized as you can get, where human beings are responsible for security and what happens there, okay? So this is as of 2022 in August, one of the largest lenders here in the United States. They had a data breach. So they're called Flagstar Bank. And this breach affected 1.5 million customers. Okay, this is a bank that generates an annual revenue of more than 1.6 billion. And it's accounting for approximately $23 billion in assets. Okay, the bank itself is the country's sixth largest bank mortgage originator. Okay, so this is not some small fish, some small chain in some unknown part of the United States. This is a large banking institution. All right, and they had a security breach of 1.5 million. Okay, and this was as of June, I believe they did the investigation, and it kind of came out now. All right, and so what's even more interesting is the fact that this data breach has happened before at the same bank. So in January of 2021, okay, became one of the many victims of this particular type of data breach. Okay, so we might talk about $570 million being taken off of this chain here, but over here we're looking at 1.5 million customer data, like social security numbers being taken, personal information being taken. And what stems from that is could be much deeper than just taking, assets, just taking the currency off. Now you've got information, personal information on select individuals, which you can then roll over and carry and do other sorts of fraud going forward. Okay, so this one particular bank has had a data breach twice in a year. Pretty significant, right? I thought this was centralized. It's supposed to be secure. Okay, but let's go beyond this. I want to go beyond this because even for myself, we are so desensitized to banks and their operations and the things that they do and how they settle certain things to clear their names. We're okay with that. So I want to roll here into Bank of America. Okay, this just happened. And it's funny, right? Because when you try and search for this stuff, it's not as readily available as that 570 million hack that'll happen on the blockchain. But Bank of America here is to pay Ambank 1.84 billion. 1.84 billion. This is not 184 million. This is not 500 million. They're paying almost 2 billion in settlement. So this dates back to the great financial reset in 2008. And this one entity called Ambank provides insurance for certain securities. And the whole thing here is that Bank of America, they're saying, there was issues in the standards of writing certain loans, which then made it easy to default on. And then Ambank had to pick up the tab and that caused an issue. Right? So that's a direct attack at the bank saying, hey, look, your standards of what you were doing back then, which we all know, which caused the whole great reset, financial reset, were subpar. And you allowed things to happen. And the judges agreed. The courts agreed. They gave them almost $2 billion in reparations. All right. But look, hey, that's probably a one-off. It's not like something like that could happen again or in a different fashion. Oh, well, look, here's Bank of America again. And they were fined $225 million for deceptive practices in a particular card program. All right, so these regulators have accused the bank of consumer harm and violations of the law, and it said, it's done all kinds of things where, and this is just July of this year. Okay, so the banks created a format where creditors could take money out of a consumer fund, and then the consumers couldn't actually fight back. So it's really layered approach to what they were doing. Okay, but hey, hit again, and the courts decided that they were doing something wrong here. So this is your centralized bank where things are supposed to be secured, data is supposed to be secure, and the operations, the policies, and the execution of things are supposed to be for the people, right? Well, this got hit with 225 million. This is just this year. But you know what? No big deal, right? Well, what's this? Bank of America will pay $10 million for improperly garnishing customer accounts. Okay, so this is where there's another issue here. Okay, $10 million for this customer breach that they're having here. So the issue here, I want you guys to see that everywhere you go right now, when you pop up the news, it's going to say this right here. This is all a talk of the town. And rightfully so. There should be talk about this. There needs to be security updates or ways to ensure the customers do not get harmed. Flat out. So I'm not saying that blockchains, especially like these, who do get exposed, should be able to just pay, look, we're decentralized, it is what it is, and move on. No, we need to improve all of that, of course. But what I don't want is for you to sit here and be on the fence about whether you're going to get into crypto or should you continue to get into crypto, go further. But you're like, you know what? I might get hacked. Things might happen to my assets. Meanwhile, you put your assets in banks, they are willfully doing things to put wool over your eyes. They're willfully doing things to allow other people, other entities to benefit from you, the consumer. And I don't want that to be the narrative. I don't want this to be all you hear in your brain, in your ears, is crypto is a place for scams and hacks. That is not the case. That is something that happens in every single industry, in every single market, crypto or non-crypto. But it really gets highlighted in the crypto market here. So I wanted just to highlight some of this, and then we can go on and on. That was just Bank of America. We could look at Citibank. We can look at any bank in any country. And for the most part, they've been hit with some sort of fines or lawsuit settlements for certain malpractices that they've done. And that's something that is common across the board. You and I never think twice about it. So I want to keep that in your ear. And what I also want to share with you guys is that because it's always negative news, I also wanted to share where there's some positive news. And if you haven't seen it already, go check out this video right here, because this video, I've actually outlined some headlines, some positive news with some fundamentals behind it for crypto and the entire blockchain space. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out and see all the positives that are happening. All right, guys, if you found value in this video, hit the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.